Se ha formado pues él a sí mismo, luego estuvo en las trans y luego ya vio que realmente lo que le interesaba a él era sacar todo el jugo del sitio donde vivía, de esa especie de almacén, es como un almacén de madera donde él vive y donde tiene esa propuesta, porque este es Magasinet, que significa almacén, me he enterado recientemente. Lo de Fabiken es el nombre simplemente de la casa, porque no es mi pueblo. A mí me ha costado mucho entender dónde vivía este señor, hasta que el otro día me puse unas fotos y me dijo, esto es. Y era una foto verde, llena de árboles, y me pareció intuir unas cuantas maderas ahí entre el foraje. Dicho esto, vais a ver una ponencia con un concepto realmente muy provocador, porque es ese eurogallo, capercaillie, como se llama en inglés, que además esta ave pues es todo un símbolo en las culturas célticas y nórdicas. Vais a ver ese eurogallo, ese capercaillie, en su bosque, en su estado natural. Este hombre lo que hace es ponerte este trozo del paisaje, pero no de una forma naturalista ni figurada, sino de una forma absolutamente real. Yo no sé si está, pero lo voy a decir. ¡Magnus Nilson! Pues no está. ¿Lo veis? A ver. Ah, sí. Ahí, Magnus Nilson. Fabricado con sus propias manos, oye, el horno. Tony, te paso los trastos, si te parece. Y repito, perdonad por el cambio de horario, él está a la primera de la tarde. A la tarde vamos a empezar a la misma hora, desde luego, pero este hombre tiene que volver al círculo polar ártico y eso cuesta la hostia de tiempo en avión. Pues bien, seguimos.
So I'm just going to install myself a little bit here. I'll be ready in 2 minutes.
Oye, perdona.
Estoy viendo la primera diapositiva aquí, y ahora va a salir, y dice, fabriquen un restaurante extraño. Bueno, ya podéis imaginar lo que va a venir a continuación. Hasta la tarde.
So, I'm going to talk first very shortly about the restaurant and where it is and what it is and so on, because maybe some of you don't know that already. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about hunting for birds, and I'm going to finish with showing a bird that we typically hunt this time of year, how it's cooked, and then finally a dish of the same bird. Yeah, I should introduce, this is Johnny, by the way, who takes care of all the cooking, some main produce at Faviken. So. Okay. Faviken is located in Scandinavia. Most of you probably already know what that is, but I showed the map anyway. Sweden. You see Stockholm there on the bottom right side, and then up in the mountain range that divides Norway from Sweden, you can find a tiny little village called Faviken, and that's where we run the restaurant, which is called Faviken Magasinet. Faviken is a very, very small restaurant. It's only 12 seats a normal day. We're ambitious, I think at least. And what I find is a bit special with what we do is that we really try to make the most out of the possibilities presented to us in our environment. This is something I think a lot of other restaurants should do more of. This is a question that I very often get, because I find it that we are probably a very misunderstood restaurant often, you know. People think that Faviken is all about ecological stuff and 0 kilometers from the produce to the restaurant and so on. So this is a question that I get very, very often. Why do you work only with products from a certain area? And the answer to this is actually not at all, you know, that it's a nicer environment or anything like that. You know, those are very good things, but for me, it's only positive side effects from the search of what is the answer, which is quality. And you know, it's not per default always better with things that's produced in your own area, but for us it is, because we can have a constant dialogue with all our producers, and a lot of the produce we use is actually also farmed by us at the restaurant. So for us, it's a thing about quality. That's the reason why we work with products only from a certain region, which is Jämtland. Why do you have so few seats? Is also a question I get very often. Because we have become very popular as a restaurant, and we can probably fill our restaurants many times as much as 12 seats every day. But I don't do that, and the reason is simply that I want to do the cooking myself. I take a lot of pleasure in cooking, you know. I love cooking, and I don't want to train a huge team to do my work. I want to do it myself and take pleasure in it. Today we employ 7 people, 5 of them are working in the kitchen, 2 in the dining room. 1 chef is responsible for all the produce, and he basically only do that, you know, because of our location in the world, it's a great logistical challenge to maintain a good, stable flow of produce to the restaurant. In total, 50% of all hours worked at Faviken Magasinet is related to sourcing the produce. That's quite a lot. Okay, that was just shortly about the restaurant, very briefly. Today, we're going to cook a little bird, and it's called, in English, it's called capercaillie. It's the biggest member of the grouse family, or the pheasant family. It's used to be quite a lot of them here in Spain. I understood that they are more or less extinct from here now. In Sweden, it's a very common bird. It's a bird that I love serving in the restaurant that we serve quite often. It looks like this. Can show a photo too. As you see, this is actually just a chicken. This is like probably 4 months old or something. And become very big. You see that one? That's a big male bird. That would be, I guess, 5.5 kilo probably. They can come up to 7 kilos. And it's kind of my favorite bird to cook, because it's probably the bird that tastes the most of its kind of environment where it grows, where it lives, you know. It really absorbs all the flavors from the forest. As I go through the slides, you'll see marked with little text and arrows, you know, other things that you find in the forest of Faviken. It's often vegetation. In this plant, you'll see spruce, blueberries, and moss. All those things are things that the capercaillie will eat. You can see here, we can continue, there's me actually. This is something I really like. I take great pleasure in hunting. It's one of my favorite things to do when I don't work. This is my dog, Knut. He's an English setter. He's very good at hunting birds. So this is just when we're heading out in the mountains to find either this bird or any other bird. You can see some lingonberries and juniper growing there as well. This is the typical hunting grounds that you probably find somewhere in the western parts of northern Sweden. You can see we'll probably start up from a pretty elevated point and then go down towards the forest, you know, where the capercaillie mainly live. This is also very typical. You know, you can see also a cranberry bog in the bottom side. You know, that is, cranberries is one of the favorite food of the capercaillie. You often find them around there. yeah, this is hopefully how it looks after a good day. Here we have a different selection of birds from a good weekend of hunting at Viken. The capercaillie chicken on your left side there is actually the same one that lies here in front of you now. You can see a few others that are common birds that we usually serve on the menu as well. Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the cooking technique we chosen today. Because I'm a big fan of working with direct heat. I'm not so keen on working with low temperature ovens or circulators and so on. It's simply because, you know, basically I don't take such a pleasure in it. I don't find it amusing and it doesn't give me anything to cook in that way. I love touching the produce and smelling it and looking at it. It's very beautiful. You know? And I also think that in a restaurant as small as ours, you shouldn't need to have a circulator to be able to attain some kind of regularity in the cooking. So, what you need to think about when you cook a whole bird like this, because probably like birds, that would be the most difficult thing to cook whole. And also, the leaner the bird, the less fat, the more difficult. So this is actually one of the most difficult birds to cook whole. And the reason why it's difficult is if you just look at it like this, you have the thigh, which is still attached to the body, and the breast. You know, the thigh needs a different degree of cooking as the breast. Breast needs to be cooked more. And the same is actually the case with this part as well, the wing joint. Both of these parts need to be cooked more, so you really have to think about what you're doing when you're cooking a whole bird like this. You see John is constantly working with the bird, and he's placing it towards the heat source, so that he gets the heat where he wants it. And in this case it will be a little bit more on the thighs, a little bit more on the front, and then slightly less here in the middle. Typically, in most restaurants, I think probably would just butcher the bird and then cook the parts separately, you know, like braise the legs or sous vide them or something like that. But, you know, I want to cook food that makes me happy, always. I think this is a beautiful way of cooking a bird, you know, it's very aesthetic and it's a very good way. It just takes a lot of attention from the chef. He needs to be a very competent person doing it. So, together with this bird, which is going to be finished, I imagine, in about 10 minutes, is that right? Yeah. We're going to serve a few different things from the forest, you know. Because as I said, this is like one of the birds that probably absorb the most of the flavors and the aromas from the forest. Oh yeah, I should probably present that. You're getting some appetizers, which we would serve any given day at Viken, and today it's a little crust made of dried pig's blood, and it's filled with a little blood custard, and then it's topped up with some wild trout sort of. And you should probably eat it in one bite, because otherwise it would be rather a mess. Yes, so about the garnish, you know. When we butcher a bird like this, you can smell what it ate before it was shot. If it spent its last few hours in the cranberry bog, it will be full of cranberries and it will smell of cranberries and all kinds of things like that. And for me, when I butcher a bird like this, it feels very logical to choose the kind of garnish that I will show you now. What you can do, just to see, because it's very interesting, you know, all birds have a little pouch in the neck where they can store food for a while. And especially the wild birds that eat a lot of, not so much grains, but more vegetables like plants, leaves, bark, and needles, and berries and things like that. They need this little pouch to even out the food supply. And it's very interesting because you can see here, can we get the camera here? Yeah. All this stuff here is what the bird ate just before it died. And you can keep it here for, you know, if there's, for example, like a snowstorm or a sudden time where it can't eat for some reason, you can keep this food in here for up to a week. And just keep it there until it really needs it. And what happens in the pouch is that it ferments by lactobacillus fermentation. So it actually sort of preserves itself. And this is, you know, something that you wouldn't eat this of course, yes, that would be a bit strange, but I'd like to give our customers a chance to actually experience this as well and to understand the connection between what the bird eats and what it tastes. So I'd like to either put this on the side of the plate or maybe even on a little stone or something, put it in the middle of the table, not for people to eat, but for them to smell. It smells of forest and a little bit acidic. And here, on this tray, I have a little selection of different things that an adult capricae would probably eat. It's different lichens, it's some moss, it's some spruce needles, cranberries, lingonberries, rowan berries, green juniper berries, and then there's also spruce oil. I wouldn't do that, of course, but I made it anyway. And this is going to sort of form the garnish for this bird. We're not that far away on the bird now. It looks very good. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to prepare the lichens. And you know, lichens are, it's not a plant. They don't have photosynthesis, even if they're green, they don't. It's a symbiotic organism made up from a bacteria and an algae. And they don't get their nutrition from the sun since they don't have any photosynthesis. They actually get their nutrition from soothing something called lichenic acid, which then breaks down the material on which the lichen lives on, and it just absorbs those nutrients into itself. The lichenic acid is something that can make the lichen very bitter. So, like in the old times when lichens was used a lot as emergency food, you know, it's very, very rich in carbohydrates, so people tended to make like porridge and things with it. It was always treated with lye and to neutralize this acid, and then it was watered down and watered out several times just to get rid of the bitterness. So, but actually, if you are a bit careful in your choice of lichens, you can choose lichens that as a species has less lichenic acid in them. And some of them, like this one for example, it's basically like any mushroom, like a black trumpet mushroom or something like that in terms of flavor and texture. It's a very foresty thing to eat. So like that. So I'm just going to clean some of these lichens, and then you know they don't really need to be cooked. We're just basically going to glaze them and put them on the plate. If you cook them too much, they will almost dissolve this one. So these are a few different lichens, and this is, for example, Icelandic lichen, which is one of the more common lichens in Sweden. It's what the reindeer prefer to eat in the winter, actually. So it almost looks like seaweed in there. Känns det bra, fågeln? I have some different things here. So. And I also have a bit of moss here. And you know, this is like, when you work with all these kinds of wild organisms and wild plants, you have to really think about how and what you use them for, because unlike almost all the farm plants that we use vegetables, these haven't been selectively bred for generations after generation, you know, to suit our taste. So you have to accept that some of them are very bitter and some of them are very woody, and you know, so you just have to kind of work around that and use the parts that suit your preparation the most, and also use them a time of the year when they are, you know, they have a flavor profile that would actually suit what you're going to do with them. And this moss, for example, which smells like, for me, this, you know, all the smells like I wish you could feel them. And this is like when, you know, in the photo when I was sitting with the dog and I was going out hunting. This is exactly the same smells that I would have then. this moss here basically is going to be just as a seasoning. This is not something you eat as a vegetable, mainly because it's rather woody in the texture, so you only want really tiny little branches like that. So that's going to be one thing we're going to use. This is going to be another thing. That's just some green juniper berries. In most preparations I prefer green, which is in fact unripe juniper berries, to the really ripe ones. Because I think the green ones they have such a fresh aroma, such a fresh flavor profile. I really like that. These are some cranberries, and you can see these are almost translucent. Johnny picked those just before coming here this weekend, and they've been. You can see it if you look at them carefully. You can see that they have experienced some frost. You know. This is basically already dead. It's almost translucent. I love them like that because they become very sweet and the texture is very beautiful as well. I'm going to use some of these as well. This is going to be, this is actually fermented lingonberries, and this would be what you would find in a little pouch of the animal if it ate lingonberries a week ago or something like that. It would look like that. I'm going to use this, which is the rowan berry, which is also something that is one of the Capricorn's favorite foods. Actually, they tend to eat it mostly when they are so ripe they started to ferment. So they actually get a little bit drunk from eating this. It was very hilarious in the mornings. And then we're going to just season the thing with a few just chopped up needles of spruce. A little bit of spruce also. Really good. So I'm going to just, actually I brought one of our nice ceramic plates, but it broke in the transportations. So I took this instead. This is my unbreakable, my spare plate, which I always have. It's made out of textile, so it never breaks. So I'm going to use that one instead. Okay, I think I'm going to need some help here. No, yes, this is 35% or something. And as I said, lichens like this, they don't really need to be cooked. They just have to be heated a little bit, and they'll be just enough. You can come on and give me something that you I wish that you could all be here on stage and feel the beautiful aromas from this. It's really the aromas from the forest. Okay, so let's start with that. And this is, maybe I would prefer to serve an adult bird, because this will have more flavor of the forest, and that is something I really like. It will also be darker in the meat. But this is just a chicken, as I said before. It's from this spring, and it's going to be pretty light in the color, more like just like chicken or something like that. So I'm going to start just by taking one of the legs off. I didn't feel like taking a whole adult bird over 5 kilos here, because you're going to only make one portion. It felt kind of like a waste. just going to put this one here on the side, right? So it's warm and nice. Come on, I'm going to take the bone out of the tie. This is, as you see, is kind of a simple dish, you know. The difficult thing with this dish, and most of the other dishes that I've eaten, is not very intricate and complicated fittings or a lot of worked garnishes. It's more that we put a lot of effort into the cooking technique of the main produce. And basically, if we did this in the restaurant, it would take only, today it's stressed because we have only a very little time on us. But in the restaurant, typically, Johnny here, he would do only this for almost half of the evening. You know, this is what he would concentrate on while we do other things. Gloves like this should be forbidden. That don't slide easily onto your fingers. What I'm doing here is basically that I'm chopping a little bit of the spruce needles. That, and we only need a tiny amount because they're very, very strong in flavor. Those are going to be used to season the burger. So a bird like this would be, I would say, 6 portions in the restaurant. So we cook 2 birds like this in a normal evening. You can see here, Johnny's made a very, very good job of cooking it. And I like this. I don't like when you have like a very pale brown surface and then exactly the same cooking degree of cooking all through the center from the outside. I like it to be like, you know, this is probably almost well done, and then you have medium rare in the middle, and all the different degrees there in between. I think it's more interesting to eat, and it at least gives me a lot of pleasure to have all those different textures and flavors in the same little bite. Yeah, switch it. Also, if this berries would be really fresh, you know, this, I don't think you should do it with this because they are, as I said, they have the experience of frost. They are very soft in a way. But if this would be like in late August or something, I would probably crush the berries a little bit. I'd like to squeeze them between my two fingers before I put them on the plate so that they sort of burst. I find them more delicious like that. The green juniper is just going to be crushed and then chopped to these old aromatic balls. And it's very important for me that all of these things are done as late as possible for serving, because that is where all the freshness comes from in a dish like this. That you can have a piece of tongue as well. Here you can see too that we have 2 different cooking degrees of cooking on the breast and the thigh. So the thigh has gotten a lot more heat, you know. So this is also basically perfect right now. Like that. And And also I would probably plate in the other end of the plate like this, and just do a little pile of the food that the bird had collected in its little pouch, just to get the customer to experience that smell of the forest and to understand the connection between what the bird eats and how it tastes and smells like. And if this was porcelain plate, I would also put this, which is spoon sword. I don't want to spoil my spare beautiful textile cloth, so I'm going to do it like that. I think that's it.